What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Midwest Microbrew. I'm your host, Henry Nosek, and today we're headed to Peoria, Illinois to step inside a brewery that is as much about the community as it is about the craft. I'm sitting down today with Brian Buss, the brewmaster and co-owner of Busted Brewing. We're diving into the stories behind their fan favorite pours, what it takes to build a truly family-friendly atmosphere in a tap room, and the secret sauce that makes Busted Brewing stand out in a crowded Midwest market. Let's get into it. So, hi, Brian. Thank you so much for joining us today on Midwest Microbrew. I'd like to start things off with maybe you just introducing yourself and telling the audience a little bit about what your role is over at Busted Brewing.
Hi, thanks for having me on. My name is Brian Buss, and together my wife and I own Busted Brewing, located in Peoria Heights, Illinois. My role in the company is largely brewer and overall making sure operations go the way we need it to. And my wife helps manage the front of the house and manage our employees, make sure the beer gets served in a good fashion, and kind of take things as we go. Kind of, we're still growing, still learning, and kind of everything in between.
I gotcha. All right, that sounds awesome. Could you tell me a little bit about the origin story of Busted Brewing and what kind of inspired you to start brewing there specifically?
Yeah, so I started homebrewing back in 2009. A friend got me into it, and it just kind of became a rabbit hole. I did a handful of extract kits, and then got the hankering to do some all grain batches, and started doing some recipe developments, and just kind of got involved in the scene. I liked what it did. I liked the artistic nature of it, plus the science, and just kind of the overall just the overall vibe of home brewers in general. It's a pretty good scene with a lot of nice people, and a lot of people that just like just doing what we do, just making beer and sharing beer, and just kind of doing what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like that's how so many great breweries get their start. It's just passion with a home brewery kit or something like that. But yeah, that's
100%. Yeah, it definitely. I think for most of us, it just starts out like we get that we do it one or two times and just kind of get that itch, and it just turns into a rabbit hole for us.
absolutely. So this might be a tricky question. How would you describe your brewery in one sentence to someone who's never been there before? If you have to go two sentences or something, it doesn't matter. But
Mm, I mean, I would just say we're a three barrel brewery, located in an old fast food restaurant.
gotcha.
And to expound on that a little bit, we occupy a building that used to be a Subway,
Hmm.
and mostly because that was the building that we saw kind of gave us the best opportunity at the lowest cost to try opening a place. So we just kind of dove headfirst in, and we have a 35 seat tap room that majority of our beer is sold out of, but we also do a little bit of distribution as well.
Cool, cool. So what's the story behind your decor and design choices? What kind of atmosphere are you creating over there at Busted Brewing?
Yeah, so our tap room is, I would say, probably first and foremost, just a very low key, family friendly hangout joint. I always tell
Okay.
people we didn't start a bar, we started a company.
Hmm.
First phase being just a small tap room to kind of get our name out there and kind of build a regular crowd, which we managed to do in our short 2.5 years. So yeah, we just managed to kind of create a fun, enjoyable atmosphere that, like I said, is very family friendly. We Sunday is kind of de facto family day. We definitely get a lot of families and people that we become friends with, that our son has made friends with their kids, and it's just kind of become a nice little quiet place people can come and hang out and just enjoy a few beers.
Yeah, no, that's great. I love it when a brewery is like family friendly or community focused like that. I think it just makes it such a great hangout spot. So that's pretty cool that you guys are like that.
Yeah.
Um, how long have you guys been around? Sorry if you mentioned that already. That's
We opened in May of 2023.
gotcha. Okay.
So
Yeah, so you've
we'll
got
turn 3 in May this year.
wow. All right. So you've got a few years under your belt there.
Yep.
Um, do you have any regulars that are coming in that you've been seeing since 2023 and kind
Oh,
of
for
what keeps
sure.
drawing people there?
Yeah, yeah, no, we've definitely managed to create a nice group of regulars that have definitely, um heavily supported us since the day we opened, and that have always just kind of been there to come in, not only drink our more flagship beers, but also anytime we release something new, they'll come in, and we even get some of them that'll offer to help us out at the brewery every now and again. So
Wow.
it's definitely a good crowd of people that we have, and we're that's definitely something we're pretty proud of.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's a really good sign when you got people offering to help you out and stuff. That means that they love it.
Well well, to kinda give you a side story, about a year or so ago, just a random accident, I blew my main tendon in my bicep,
Ooh. Yeah.
right arm, and I'm right-handed, so I was slinged up and had to have surgery and about 4 months of rehab, and,
Hmm.
there was a guy that I worked with, at a previous day job, and, he said, "Hey, if you need somebody to do some heavy lifting for a little while and, just to kind of help get you through." I said, "Yeah." I was like, "I'll be honest though, most people see the work and see, that it's not all, glamorous and sexy and, all that." But ironically enough, he's still here a year and a half later,
Wow.
or about a year later. So
Wow.
helping me out, because he likes it. He's retired and, doesn't know how to sit still. But he
Yeah.
was one of those guys that was with us pretty early on, and he even told me I converted him to being an IPA drinker. So
Wow.
uh,
That's a big compliment right there.
Oh yeah, for sure. I definitely take pride whenever somebody tells me, like, they always say like, "Oh, I don't like IPAs, but I like your IPAs." I was like, Mine aren't largely different than other people's, but I appreciate the comment."
Yeah. No, that's a great compliment to be able to convert someone into that space. Because usually people have like they got pretty strong feelings one way or the other, but
Oh
that's a
yeah, yeah.
good
Some
testament to your
people
brewing.
Oh yeah, I got because even some like hardcore beer nerd friends of mine, they don't like hops, or they don't like dark beers, or they don't like this or that. But and that's kind of getting into like what we do. Like I try to go all over the style spectrum.
Hmm.
Like I said, in 2.5 years, we've definitely have some house favorites that are exposing themselves, and but also too, like we have 12 taps, so I try to kind of keep things interesting. And
Hmm.
we've also definitely I've definitely managed to develop some seasonal favorites as well.
Oh, cool.
Hopefully, once the cold passes here, we'll be getting more into those, and as the weather kind of warms up.
Huh, yeah. No, that sounds great. Sounds like you got a little bit of something for everyone. So we'll definitely get into the brewing and the beer questions about what styles you have in a little bit, because I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah.
But also, you mentioned that you're like family friendly and kind of community focused. Do you have any like community events that you take part in, or like the
Mhm.
family aspect? Just tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so we're actually members of the local Kiwanis Club in Peoria Heights, and we actually do two collaborations a year with them.
Hmm.
We do one in the summertime for an event called the Barstool Open, which is a 9-hole bar mini golf crawl.
Oh,
So
cool.
basically us and 8 other places will design our own mini golf hole, and teams of 4 will hop around to each bar and or each place and play the hole and record a score. And we actually make a beer for that, and then we sell it to a bunch of places. And then part of the agreement with them buying it is they kick a buck per can or glass. Hopefully cans this year, but in previous years it's been a buck per glass back to the organization. So it's a little fundraising opportunity for the club, and
Yeah.
again also helps us get our name in front of new customers. And we also have one that we release in the wintertime called Peanutty Purpose. It's a peanut butter robust peanut butter porter,
Oh.
that again, kind of the same premise. That there's no crawl with that. We just kind of sell it to some other bars in Peoria Heights, and again, they make a donation back to the Kiwanis Club. And so yeah, so and that's just one of them. We've done a lot of charity events at our places, done St. Jude, and we've even had Make a Wish do something at our place. And so yeah, so we always try to, we didn't start this to be, just like sit in our corner and um, and just do our thing, which and I'm not saying that about any one way or the other for other people that do. We
Mhm.
just wanted to kind of give back, and kind of be just be more a lot more community involved, and
Yeah.
kind of help. help bring awareness. My wife actually is works with adults with disabilities, so
Oh, nice.
we try to, like I said, we just try to give back where we can, and that was kind of an important thing for us.
Yeah. Oh, sounds like you got a good thing going there. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Um, so getting into the beer and the brewing questions, can you walk me through your core lineup and what kind of styles you always have available?
Yeah, so our I would say our biggest seller has definitely revealed itself as being a beer called Citra Crash.
Hmm.
It's an all Citra hopped West Coast IPA. It was not one of the original beers I brewed. It actually came to life that one of my suppliers emailed me and said they have a bunch of Citra hops for sale on sale,
Oh,
and if I wanted some, I said sure, no problem. So they sent it to me, and I made the beer, and it sold out in record time. So it kind
wow.
of started becoming one of those things. And to give you an idea, I just packaged a batch less than 3 weeks ago, and I'm already uh, down to my last keg.
Wow.
so, um, so yeah, so it's definitely that's definitely kind of revealed itself to be a pretty big taproom favorite. We've also got a beer called Trailblazer,
Hmm.
kind of named because the Rock Island Trail is sitting at our back door. So we wanted to we tend to kind of name things just based on surroundings sometimes, but that's just a Trailblazer's a Pilsner based blonde ale,
Hmm.
just very light, very crisp. Kind of that beer for I call it a beer for beer drinkers.
Yeah.
That just they're not necessarily they want something light, but they want something more than like a macro light beer. So it kind of fits that need. We there's a the park district here in Peoria does a thing called Parks on Tap, where they take like a draft van over to different parks and just put on a big friendly event. And we this year was a little hot, so they didn't buy as much just because of the
Yeah.
turnout. But last year, when the weather was great all summer, they were buying almost a half barrel a week of that
Wow.
beer. So it definitely plays to a pretty good crowd. And then we've got a brown ale called That One Coach. It's kind of an
Mhm.
interesting story behind that name. I think I can't even remember, but we call it Coach Beard. So if you've ever seen the Ted Lasso show,
Oh, yeah,
um,
yeah.
he mentioned he's from Peoria, but I don't know if he's from Peoria, Arizona, or Peoria, Illinois. But we just kind of rode with it.
Yeah, just go with
Um,
Illinois.
yeah. So we called it Coach Beard for a little while, but then we got some bars interested in it, and I figured rather than get a cease and desist letter from somebody, we would just change the name up. So we called it That One Coach.
Huh.
So it's been a mainstay since we made it. Again, not a original beer that I brewed.
Mhm.
But again, just one of those once it came out, people like brown ales, and it's just kind of stuck in our lineup. And believe it or not, there's actually a bar in town that sells it faster than I do. So
Oh, wow.
it's a pretty good, pretty big favorite.
Wow, yeah. I mean, when something, when something's a hit, it's gonna stick. So
Oh,
that
for
makes
sure. That's the
sense.
difference between being a businessman and being a hobbyist. It's like,
Right.
you can always try to, go into the as a hobbyist, everything can be different, but if you got something that sells, keep on selling it because that'll pay
Oh,
for the
yeah.
pet projects.
I mean, that's the trick.
Right.
So you mentioned that you have kind of a wide variety of beer and that you got a little something for everyone. What's the most unique or kind of like experimental, I guess, beer that you've created?
Mm, I don't know about experimental. I mean, I definitely try to play with, say advanced hop products.
Hmm.
That's kind of a new realm I've been getting into and actually been introducing it to some of our core beer lineups.
Hmm.
I mean, I messed, with, oh, I'm trying to think here. I don't think as far as like really far out there stuff. I mean, I've made, you know, oh, what would be some stuff? I mean, I've used, some hops that don't even have names yet. I've used, some pretty out there fruit puree combinations, more in the seltzer realm because we actually do have a seltzer that we make in house.
Hmm.
It's actually that's kind of a unique thing as well. It's a kind of a choose your own adventure thing. So we make a neutral seltzer, and then
Hmm.
we have like a syrup bar that people can choose from. Um, and people like it, whenever they're looking for that non because we're not a full bar. We don't have liquor. We don't have wine. Like our license actually won't allow us to serve any of that. So we wanted to have another option. Ever since we did this blank, we call it blank space. You can figure out that uh, link. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm trying to rack my brain, but I don't think I don't think I've done anything too out of the ordinary. I mean, we did do me and another brewery here in town did a spruce tip IPA.
Hmm,
That was actually just made with like Norwegian spruce tips that were harvested.
cool.
And it was honestly like sold a ton of that beer
Yeah.
in a short order of time. So yeah, so yeah, that's about all I can think of right now. I'm sure something will come to me later, but
Well, yeah, that all sounds delicious. If you think of anything else, yeah, shout it out. But that all sounds delicious. I can see why that would be popular too, especially with the spruce tips. Do you have any seasonal or limited releases coming out soon that people should be looking out for?
yeah, so yeah, getting into spring summertime, we've got a beer called Summer Bash.
Mhm.
That is it's a Citra Mosaic dry hopped orange pale ale.
Hmm.
So it was actually a beer I won as a home brewer, I won a gold medal with. And when we opened the place, I
Wow.
kind of told myself, I was like, yeah, we're going to give this one a shot. And again, it's one of those beer. It's only 4.5%. It's very light, and it use crystallized orange in it, and it just
Mhm.
gives it this nice orangey kind of pop to it, along with the dry hop. And it's a very popular beer. Well, actually, I'll be canning some of it this year to go out there. We do a oh, what else do we have? I do have a couple other things up, things I actually haven't made yet.
Mhm.
Just getting into the spring, summertime, I've actually started getting into lager making.
Oh,
So
cool.
I've got, I want to do, hopefully like a lager for Cinco de Mayo and like a salt lime lager, possibly.
Hmm.
Yeah, short term, those are what I got coming out. There's also a watermelon wheat beer
Oh, really?
that I'm going to be coming out with. Funny story about that. When me and my wife got married, I made that beer for my wedding
Hmm.
and didn't even get any of it
Oh,
because
no.
they put it on tap during reception hour, which is when we were getting photos, and by the time we got in
Oh,
there, it had kicked.
yeah, that's how weddings go.
All right. So I guess people like that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, so those would be some things I got in the short term coming out. Plus, we do have a barrel age release coming up here pretty soon. We've
Mhm.
been collaborating with a another company here in town that has been giving me about a barrel per 6 months. So I've been trying to keep them going. So yeah.
Cool. Oh, that sounds awesome. So for someone new to the world of craft beer, which of your beers would you recommend as an introduction?
Honestly, so we just released a new beer back in it was on Blackout
Mhm.
Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
It's called Heights Heritage. So it's kind of like so we're in Peoria Heights.
Mhm.
I'm not sure how where you are the history there, but Pabst Blue Ribbon operated there from about the late 40s to the early 80s.
Oh, really?
And the building is actually just up the block from us, their old production facility. And so we collaborated. There's a little, not little, but there's a cocktail bar in there, and we kind of collaborated on a kind of almost like a PBR throwback style of beer. It's a 3.7% American light lager.
Hmm.
That is lager brewed traditionally, and it's like I said, it's very light, very crisp, and like I said, we sold a ton of that beer to the point I put two more batches in the tanks because it seemed like it was is being a lager beer. It takes 4 to 5 weeks to make it, and I didn't want to risk running out again because we ran out and almost had a small customer revolt because of it. So
Wow.
definitely one of those beers that I'm definitely very proud of. And again, just going back to the heritage of Peoria Heights of the presence that PBR had back in the day. It's kind of standing on the shoulders of giants kind of moment. And
Yeah.
hopefully the people that have had the beer have had definitely had higher marks. On Untapped, it's actually got a very high score on
Well,
there, so it's definitely one I'm pretty proud of. So I would
yeah.
definitely put that as one of our could be leading sales here after too long.
Wow. Cool. Yeah, it's always cool when you can tie your business back into that history of the area a little bit like that and just give a nod to the past like that.
Yeah.
Um, here's a trickier question too, I guess. What's something about your brewery that most visitors should know, but maybe they don't know before they show up for the first time?
Mm, should know, but don't know. That's a tricky question.
Yeah, or maybe like
I
something
mean,
that they don't
mostly
know, but
because, like I said, we've only been around for about 2.5 years, so we still get a fair amount of people. I guess if I had to, eh, and I'm dead serious when I say this, just the fact that we exist, because we
okay.
still get, I always joke that, I've got a 12-foot LED sign on the front of my building, and people still drive by us and say, like, "Oh, I didn't know you guys were here." And it's just like, need to get some extra, the big floating guy waving his arms
Yeah.
and everything so people come down there. But that's also part of us kind of, finding new ways to kind of get our name out there. We
Yeah.
actually are starting to do some radio commercials and hopefully just kind of build our own brand awareness. And,
Hmm.
it's, yeah, I would say that's probably one thing of just the fact that we're there, and
Yeah.
um, I always say, I hope we get to back to a turn because feels like some people have stopped kind of seeking out breweries, and I hope, and I hope that starts up again.
Hmm.
I know there's a pretty faithful crew out there, but I hope to kind of gather more people,
Yeah.
coming to
Yeah. And
us.
that's
So
one of those things that always ebbs and flows and, it'll come back
sure.
around.
Oh,
But
for
yeah.
sure. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And like I said, and that's part of, not only doing beers that sell for us, but also keeping things new, keeping things fresh because it's a pretty crowded space out there. But I think I'm pretty comfortable in what I do
Hmm.
and what we have to offer. So I feel like we can definitely get the job done.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like you guys got a great thing going there. Um,
Yeah, no, it's like I said, this year hopefully is hopefully going to be a good one for us. We're actually planning our beer festival at the
oh,
moment.
cool.
So we've done one for the past few years, and hopefully this year it just kind of grows even more. We're actually the only beer festival in Peoria at the moment, so
Wow.
we've definitely got a big opportunity to kind of really harness that market and just kind of take it to a new level.
That's really cool. When's that beer festival coming up?
So this year it'll be on May 24th. So we set it for the Sunday before Memorial Day.
Okay.
And mostly because May is our anniversary. I kind of wanted it to culminate in our the end of our anniversary because our anniversary is technically May 17th.
Hmm.
So that it would always fall after our anniversary, and we tend to the first year we did a whole week's release of new beers, and the second year we opted to, or the later that year we decided to do the beer festival. But then last year I wanted to, or 2024, I wanted to move it to Memorial Day,
Hmm.
just to kind of see how it would go. Or no, I'm sorry, in 2025 I wanted to move it to Memorial Day to kind of culminate with our anniversary, and we saw a pretty good uptick in sales. And the cool thing about it is that every other business around us is closed, so parking is kind of wide open.
Oh, good. Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, it's just one of those things that we're just trying to bring. The JCs ran the beer festival here in Peoria and did a
Mhm.
really great job for a long time, and we're just trying to pick up the mantle and kind of run with it and just kind of put our own stamp on it.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like a great time.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's we've getting some good partners this year, and so yeah, it should be a good one.
Awesome. Well, it's something for people to look forward to.
Mhm.
So kind of getting into some of the closing questions here. I don't want to keep you for too long, but if someone could only try three different things at your brewery, what would you recommend?
I mean, I would definitely try our Citra Crash IPA.
Mhm.
That would be the tops. I would say also try our. Um, I would say definitely try our seltzer bar. Even
Mhm.
even I was a little skeptical, kind of doing it the first time, but then when I saw the reaction, and I'll be honest, it's even gotten me drinking a little bit more seltzer
Oh, really?
when I just need something different.
Hmm.
Um, but then also just kind of coming in and hanging out, as like I said, as we've kind of grown over the last few years, we've people, like I said, it's become one of those things that I think more times than not, when people come in and realize what we are and what we're doing, and they tend to gravitate towards us. So I always just say, come check us out. Come sit, have a beer. We actually do have a patio in the summertime,
Hmm.
that people can do. We actually have a restaurant in the back of our building, owned and operated by somebody else, but there's an opportunity to just sit and have a few beers, and
Hmm.
when the weather's good, and sit out and enjoy it, and just kind of have a good day.
Yeah, sounds relaxing.
Mhm.
What's the best way for people to stay connected with what you're doing?
Yeah, so on Facebook and Instagram, it's just Busted Brewing. That's where we post the majority of our stuff. We do also have a website, bustedbrewing.com. As the beer fest that I mentioned, that's actually where our tickets will go on sale February 1st.
Mhm.
So we'll have a VIP ticket, and a general admission ticket, and also a designated driver ticket. Um, but those are typically where we try to keep everything posted as far as our happenings. And and if you're anybody listening to this is in the Peoria area, we try to post whenever we get a beer on at a place. We try to post and support them, and just try to grow this thing as much as we can. It's been a fun ride, and we just kind of hope to continue it, and kind of just hope to reach a new audience.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, do you have any final thoughts or messages for anyone who's considering a visit?
I mean, just stop in and say hi. Our absolute best attribute is our staff. They were trained from day one to be engaging with the customer, and help them figure out, because again, we still get a good amount of people that come in that don't know what they like.
Mhm.
And our staff is really, really phenomenal at kind of guiding them through that, and giving them suggestions, and kind of just helping them, hopefully broaden their horizon a little bit, and hopefully make a new regular, make a new friend. I can honestly say that our regulars have become friends within each other,
Yeah,
having not known each other outside of our place. So, like I said, we've built a really great place between me and my wife, and my sister-in-law, who's my wife's sister. Has she's our taproom manager and our event coordinator, and between the three of us, we kind of tackle this, as a good team, and everybody's kind of got their roles in the business, and we like I said, we just take a lot of pride in what we do, and we just hope that people just kind of give us a chance and come on in, and get to see what we're all about.
awesome. Yeah, great beer, great location. Sounds like a good time. I'm sure I'll make it out there next time I'm in Peoria, which is, every once in a while.
Well,
So,
please do, and please let me know when you do, because I'd love to sit down and have a beer with you.
absolutely. Looking forward to it. Well, thank you so much, Brian. I appreciate you taking the time today. I had a blast learning more about your brewery, and I'd love to do it again sometime. But thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me on. I really, really appreciate it.
Yep. Alrighty, guys, that's going to do it for today. Be sure to check out some of our other exclusive interviews with the people from the best breweries in the Midwest. Bye now.